of all, that vote is fake as f. That's not a real vote. That's not a real vote. They give it to who they want to give it to. They give it to their darlings.
Cowboy Carter, Beyoncé.
Our culture is competitive, man.
Right.
It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, he's not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It don't make sense.
There are horrible things that happen every day, whether it be in the industry or not, mentally, emotionally, financially.
It's the price you pay, when you're early in your career, you feel that you have to listen. And when you buck, they buck harder and they make threats. And those threats are huge ones.
Whatever, I'm fine if I lose to Kanye or someone that I'm like, okay, I respect that. I know who that is, and Kanye has a huge following and he's made a massive impact on music. Fine, I'm good with that. But don't get us all here to use your selling point for your show and stiff everybody every single time. And I said, after that point in time, I was like, don't ever ask me to here again. Please do not ask me. My answer is no for 100 million years. Never again will I go to.
Welcome back to StarHush, where we don't just spill tea, we pour it piping hot. And today, we've got two rap legends, 50 Cent and Eminem, teaming up with one mission, calling out Jay-Z and Beyoncé for allegedly pulling shady moves behind the scenes. And trust, they're not holding anything back. Word is, 50's had enough of Jay trying to block his business plays. He's calling him out for allegedly sabotaging opportunities and staying behind the curtains, pulling strings like a puppet master. Meanwhile, Eminem has been dropping major hints in his lyrics about some elite figures running the show, and fans are starting to connect the dots. His bars lately, they sound more like warnings than punchlines. But let's talk about Beyoncé too, because her name is being dragged into the fire. She's facing serious heat for allegedly jacking songwriting credits and allegedly shutting doors on other talented women in the industry. People are saying she's the reason certain female artists never fully popped, including big names like Aaliyah, Maya, Carrie Hilson, and Mary J. Blige. That's a serious list. And it doesn't stop there, because guess who keeps showing up in this circle? Diddy. Jay-Z's relationship with him is raising eyebrows, especially now that more victims are coming forward in those investigations. Jay might have slipped away from that Jane Doe case legally, but now rumors are flying that the woman only backed off after some unexpected and possibly threatening visitors came knocking at her door. That's got people asking, was she pressured to stay quiet? So now, fans are wondering if the Carters have just mastered the art of playing clean while allegedly moving dirty. Are 50 and M really trying to warn the world about what's been going on behind closed doors and just how many careers, or worse, have been taken down in the process? Let's break down everything that's been bubbling under the surface.
When you're not competing for those things anymore, and you start looking and you're going, so what was the problem? You can't exactly remember what the problem is. That's what went through with Joe.
Jay-Z and Beyoncé used to be seen as straight up music royalty, the king and queen of the industry. For years, nobody dared to call them out without getting labeled a bitter hater or clout chaser. But now, that squeaky clean image is cracking fast, and some major names are starting to talk loud and clear. Leading that charge, 50 Cent and Eminem. Let's kick it off with 50. He's out here calling Jay-Z out for being petty, insecure, and jealous. And he's not just talking, he brought receipts. According to 50, Jay tried to ice him out of the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show by flexing his NFL ties, trying to keep 50 off that stage completely. But that move backfired in the worst way, because Eminem, he wasn't having it. M straight up told organizers he wouldn't perform unless 50 Cent was on that stage too. No discussion. So Jay's alleged gatekeeping move crashed and burned.
Look, Jay-Z and them was putting it together. So I think they still harbor some energy towards me.
You think you were purposely left out of the ad?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think. I think that they were saying the NFL had some issues with me that I don't know what those issues are. Like, what is the issue? You start looking at That's not mine. That's theirs. Their heartbreak, right? But when you look at M is looking at the entire legacy.
Yeah.
The whole thing, like with M, Dre, and myself, like I'm a shady aftermath. You see what I'm saying? Like there's so much G Unit Records.
Right.
They forget that I'm M and Dre's artist.
Then things got even wilder when 50 Cent sat down with Cameron on It Is What It Is with Talk with Flea and didn't hold back one bit. He took direct shots at Jay-Z again, accusing him of still playing grimy behind the scenes, not just in music, but in business too. According to 50, Jay is out here blocking deals just to be petty, even though he's already made it to the top. Like, why mess with someone else's bag when you've already got billions?
Yeah, this is why I was saying I knew what old boy was doing, right? With the Super Bowl, because he was doing like,
yeah, go ahead.
He was doing some wild because he was saying that to Eminem that the NFL had the issue with me, and I'm like, well, what's the issue? Why don't I have an issue when I'm becoming a partner in the actual team, but they got an issue with my performance? Right? Makes no sense. You know what I mean?
I was going to get to that later, but since we're here now. And when he says "oh boy" for the audience that don't know, talking about Jay-Z, this was discussed before. Jay-Z told Dr. Dre, just for people who's not up on this, or Eminem, that he didn't want you to perform part of that Super Bowl they had a couple years ago. Why do you think that is?
Well, I just
threatened. Possibly.
Not even threatened. You know, I think it's just when you take the competition from like our culture is competitive, man. It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, he's not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It don't make sense. Like, what are we competing for? What's the goal? Like this even like a lot of the even a lot of the competitive stuff, or what we would call it beef, right? It changed. That terminology changed from when it's Biggie and Tupac, because we start saying the things that people would say that cause beef in the environment. When before that they called it babbling in our culture. Right. Because that's what it is until it turns into some street shit. So when you're not competing for those things anymore, and you start looking and you're going, so what was the problem? You can't exactly remember what the problem was. That's what went through with Joe.
But it gets deeper, because now 50 and Eminem are teaming up to expose what they claim is one of the Carter's biggest secrets, Grammy rigging. Yep, 50 called Jay out for allegedly using his relationship with Beyoncé to lock in award wins, playing politics instead of playing fair. And let's not forget, Eminem has been saying for years that the Grammys are a whole scam. Just smoke, mirrors, and checkbooks. Beyoncé finally snagged that album of the year for Cowboy Carter, but not everybody's buying it, especially since Jay had just gotten on stage last year, calling out the Recording Academy for always snubbing her. Coincidence? Or was he setting the stage to make sure she won this time?
Trey Young, thank you, sir. All the doors that you opened, showed us that we can be rock stars. Seeing you on the Rolling Stone, obviously there's Run DMC with the Leathers and the Aerosmith, but when you came out west, you took it to a whole new level. Some of you don't belong in the category. Oh, no, that was it. No, when I get nervous, I tell the truth.
But let's be real. Not everyone was clapping for Jay-Z's Grammy speech. A lot of fans were side-eyeing him hard because the whole thing came off kind of hypocritical. He stood on that stage accepting an award while calling the Grammys biased in the same breath. Like, make it make sense. If he really thinks the Academy doesn't matter, why even show up? Why not just boycott and keep it pushing, instead of begging for validation from the same people you claim are unfair? That move left a bad taste, and it only added to the whispers that Jay and Beyoncé have been sliding their way to the top using more than just talent. People in the industry have been saying it for years. The Grammys are less about talent and more about who's got the most power, the right connections, or the biggest checkbook.
A few Grammys, but you feel like you had to sell your soul to get them. And you didn't know if you wanted it for the recognition or the trophies, but then what's the difference? And at Grammys, pretty much, suck the blood of artists and nominate them, have them come to the shows, and then
which they do. They do it every year, yeah. And I'm just tired of seeing it. And for whatever reason, it's like they're always pitching this hint that you might win album of the year, which used to be a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal.
And no one's been louder about that than Eminem. He's been dragging the Grammys for ages, calling them out as a complete scam. According to M, it's not even about losing. He'd take the L if someone truly had a better album. What really ticks him off is how the Grammys play him every time, hyping him up like he's about to win just to boost ratings, only to snub him at the last second.
50, same. 50 did not win Best New Artist at the Grammys.
There was nothing bigger than 50.
Nothing bigger, and nobody since maybe like Snoop came out the gate like that. My first album didn't do it. I never saw someone's first album and the wave happen like he had. And then he doesn't get it. And then I get up there another year, and what was it, the Eminem show? And it was like, whatever, I'm fine if I lose to Kanye or someone that I'm like, okay, I respect that. I know who that is, and Kanye has a huge following and he's made a massive impact on music. Fine, I'm good with that. But don't get us all here to use your selling point for your show and stiff everybody every single time. And I said, after that point in time, I was like, don't ever ask me to here again. Please do not ask me. My answer is no for 100 million years. Never again will I go to.
When Eminem was asked if he'd ever go back to the Grammys, maybe even as part of the voting panel, he didn't hesitate. He said it wouldn't make a difference, because in his eyes, the whole thing's been rigged from the jump. The votes, according to him, they barely matter. It's all smoke, mirrors, and politics behind the scenes.
Ever consider, joining a board and maybe you have a vote in it?
First of all, that vote is fake. That's not a real vote. That's not a real vote. They give it to who they want to give it to. They give it to their darlings. This got critical acclaim, but it sold 2 records. Like, it ain't about always what you sell. I get that, Vanilla Ice, I understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there comes a point where when an overwhelming something comes along that has this wave and impact on music, and you give it to Lada Dottie. Who? Lada Dottie. Sound like Lada Dottie.
Meanwhile, 50 Cent came with the heat too. He didn't just call out the Academy, he tore into them, saying straight up that Jay-Z's Grammy wins have way more to do with being married to Beyoncé than with talent. Yep, 50 claimed the Recording Academy only keeps nominating Jay and Bey because they know those two bring in views. When they show up, the ratings go up, and that's all the Academy really cares about.
Started to receive the 16 17 Grammys since he's been with Beyonce. Right? And you go, prior to that, 1.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that came in association, like you see the kids even have Grammys. Like, they don't sing yet. They don't sing.
Right.
They don't rap yet. And they already have Grammys. So it's like they give them this trophy so we secure that they're coming to the award show. It meant that much to the culture that they just gave them the things they would. Later, to me, I didn't care about trophies. I said, I'll get the checks.
And 50 didn't stop there. Oh no. While talking on the Flagrant podcast, he doubled down on everything. He didn't just say their marriage boosts their image. He said their whole relationship feels more like a contract, basically suggesting Jay and Beyonce might be sticking together for branding, not love. That's wild.
Look, when Jay signed his contract, the big one was with Beyonce. When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those fucking trophies, came rolling in, buddy. He started getting Grammys left and right, man. I mean, look, if you look at his career,
You're gonna let him say that?
Jay was getting Grammys.
he had one.
Exactly.
He had one.
And he didn't show up.
No, he had like 20 now.
Hold on.
He had like 18 since he been down. Look, he had one, bro. Hard Knock Life.
Hold on. You're not wrong.
He was one.
At the same time.
After that, he got He's like drinking. His pictures where I'm like, it's the cup.
Wait a minute. So you're saying the success is derived from the marriage?
I've absolutely been treated differently.
The accolades.
Because he's no longer viewed as what, like a street or gangster rapper. Now he's viewed as a businessman, entrepreneur, family man.
And the biggest ones because of the position Beyonce's.
Oh, wow.
Right? You were connected to the biggest.
Jay got.
Oh, wow. So that's the deal.
Yeah, that's the deal. Like, the other ones didn't count as much as that one did.
But it's not just 50 pointing fingers. Word inside the industry is that Jay and Bey have been keeping other artists down, especially the ones that start to shine a little too bright. A bunch of insiders have claimed the Carters allegedly blocked careers that look like competition. Let's not forget Beyonce's ex-bodyguard Uncle Ron, who passed away recently from pneumonia. Right before his death, he said he had proof that the Carters purposely sabotaged artists and even messed up people's lives just to keep their own path clear. That sent shockwaves.
Beyonce and Jay-Z will do anything to destroy anyone who speaks out against them. Hey, I get the threats, but you have to remember one thing. I know your deepest secrets. I know so much about you and what you've done. I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people. Beyonce, how you guys ended Carrie Hilson's career because she said something about it.
And then there's Jaguar Wright, former backup singer turned truth teller. She's been saying for years that people around Jay-Z, including legends like Big L, either ended up blackballed or mysteriously gone, all while Jay's career just kept rising. She's been one of the loudest voices calling it what it is. Calculated moves to stay on top, no matter the cost.
The first time I ever saw Jay-Z or even heard him spit a rhyme was at an MC battle, street battle in New York. But he didn't show up as Jay-Z. He didn't show up as the hottest rapper on the street. He showed up as the that was with Big L.
Rest
For
in
those
peace.
of you.
Rest in peace, Big L.
Rest in peace, Big L.
One of the
That was the
dopest.
sensei.
One of the dopest. Yes.
Big L was who put Jay-Z on.
Without question.
And then Big L died, and then the next thing you know, Jay-Z.
Let's get into Big L for a second. Back in the early 90s, Big L was a straight-up force in Harlem's underground hip-hop game. His freestyles were wild, his bars hit different, and he quickly landed a deal with Columbia Records, dropping a solid debut that put him on the map. But when Columbia dropped him, Big L didn't slow down. He went independent and started his own label, making big noise in the city. That's when Dame Dash, co-founder of Rockefeller, started paying attention. Big L was heating up fast, and folks were saying he was next up. But just as his moment was coming, he was gunned down in a drive-by in Harlem on February 15th, 1999, and to this day, the case is still cold. Now, Jaguar Wright's been sounding the alarm for years, hinting that Jay-Z might have had more to do with Big L's death than anyone wants to admit. She once even said, "See how good I keep secrets, Sean?" That right there gave people chills.
Tell everybody about Big L, Sean.
Big L?
I would just rather do it on the stand, Sean. Please sue me. I want to go to court. And I want to talk about Big L on the stand.
Wow.
Big L is the one that put Jay-Z on. Jay-Z was the last person to see Big L alive. His death made it possible for Reasonable Doubt to live.
Whoa.
See how good I keep secrets?
But Big L isn't the only one who may have been held back by Jay's moves. DMX, one of the few artists bold enough to call Jay-Z out directly, made it crystal clear he wasn't a fan of Jay's ways. When Jay stepped up as president of Def Jam in 2004, DMX had already dropped 5 #1 hits, 1 albums back to back. He was carrying that label. But when it was time for his 6th album, Year of the Dog, again, DMX claimed Jay delayed it on purpose just so he could make space for his own comeback.
Okay, I see what's really good. You're trying to eliminate the competition, you know, because at first you retire, you know, then get me off the label. Now you're back rapping again. Okay.
And in 2005, X dropped The Industry, a track where he aired out the shady side of the game, stuff people didn't want to talk about. What's wild is everything DMX warned about, still happening today.
Bull, man, the game is bull. If you want to rap or sing or whatever, don't become a part of the game. You know what? Listen to a song I called The Industry. And that pretty much explains, what it is about the industry. Man, it's not the same. The industry, it's not a f***ing game. The industry, real is dying to get in the industry just to find they don't fit in. The industry ain't what it used to be. The industry's trying to control the way you MC. They want you to dress like this and talk like that, but I'm going to dress like this and talk with the gap. The industry.
Even Irv Gotti once said Jay was jealous of X from the jump, that Jay and his mentor Leor Cohen used to laugh behind the scenes thinking DMX would never blow up. Jokes on them though, because DMX became a legend.
I was like, you gotta sign DMX, and they laughed at me. I remember when I left the office, Tina Davis said, she knew what I wanted to sign DMX. She said, if DMX don't sell, your ass is fired. Jay and Dame did not believe in DMX. Jay would be like, you think he's better than me? And I'd be like, he's nice just like you. I said, if you look in the hood, there's less of like you and more like him. Yeah, but he don't want to live that. He's depressing, Gotti. I said, I don't give a. So Jay used to watch me grind with X, and he was off with the Hitman. And then something strange happened when I made Get At Me Dog. If you remember at the beginning of the video, it's the heartbeats. DMX, live at the tummy. I don't even remember the tummy. Funk Massacres, and then I put that sound bite. Let's take it back to the streets, mother. The video's flashing, f***ing up your eyes. It caused change. And now, there's no more shiny suits. We back to the hood, and X is the leader of this revolution. I used to put on the wall a triangle with 5. And it was like, they used to clown me. They used to be like, who's gonna buy his records, Gotti? Chihuahuas, he's barking. No one wants to hear that bullshit. And I'm like, yeah. It's 05. It was no more writing on the walls. It was, y'all can get behind me. I used to tell Leo in the midst of the whole staff, and I would tell him, yo, shut the f up, yo. I said, you work better when you shut up and get behind me. Now this is what we doing. And he would shut up.
But wait, Beanie Siegel got caught up too. He said for years that Jay made moves in the background to slow him down, like releasing his own albums at the same time as Beanie's, making sure Beanie could never outsell him. Now, Beanie owns up to making mistakes, especially with his legal run-ins, but he also made it clear Jay's timing wasn't random. Those moves, they were calculated.
I don't think one man could destroy another man's life. It's ultimately in your own decisions. You know, I had a lot of issues. Like I said, legal issues at the time. And, you know, my mind wasn't where I'm at now today. Like I used to have questions like why every time my album dropped, Jay would drop right on top. He wouldn't let me breathe or right before me. Like I was always close. And I never understood that every single album that I dropped, Jay dropped right on top. And it was like, damn, like to have in-house competition at that magnitude was crazy. Jay already the boss, but I always thought that, like, let me breathe. But
now let's not act like Beyonce is just a bystander in all this. Some folks try to paint her like she's just being led by Jay-Z, but let's be real. Beyonce is way too powerful, too smart, and too strategic for that. She wouldn't be riding with him for all these years unless she was playing the same game. And maybe even better at it. One thing both Beyonce and Jay-Z are accused of, taking out anybody who looks like a threat to their spot at the top. And trust, there's a list of artists whose careers seem to vanish right after crossing paths with them. Let's start with Amerie. Remember her? Her hit, One Thing, was shaking up the charts, and people swear that track was basically the blueprint for Crazy in Love. Both songs were produced by Rich Harrison. But here's the twist. After Beyoncé started dating Jay, it's rumored that Jay snatched Rich away from Amory and locked him down for Bey's come up. And guess what? Amari never saw that same level of success again.
Where you been, A-Marie?
I've been out in the universe.
Talk about your career. Everybody always says A-Marie should have been a superstar. Because she's pretty, she could dance, she could sing. What happened? What do
You know
think
what it is? It's timing. Like, everything is timing. Like, I'm a big believer in
Now on to Carrie Hilson. She's another artist who many believe got caught up in Beyoncé's shadow and paid the price for it. Carrie's team allegedly set her up by having her record a track that shaded Beyoncé without even telling her the full story. The moment that leaked, it was game over. Carrie tried to deny it was a diss, but then came the moment she refused to hold a magazine cover with Beyoncé and Jay-Z on it, and fans lost their minds. The Bayhive went full attack mode. She wasn't just getting dragged online, people even claimed she got pressed in real life.
You wanna hold the magazine? Just shout out Juicy Mac.
And here's where things get even more twisted. Some insiders say Beyoncé might have been the one pulling strings behind the scenes, allegedly convincing Carrie's team to feed her that diss track on purpose, just to sabotage her image while Beyoncé stayed looking flawless in the spotlight. Even Carrie hinted at the truth in a 2020 interview. She said she was pushed into releasing that track and that things got so wild, she was getting real threats behind the scenes. Now, if that's not sabotage in silence, what is?
It's the price you pay, when you're early in your career, you feel that you have to listen. And when you buck, they buck harder and they make threats. And those threats are huge ones. And you know what I mean? You don't feel like you have a choice. I really didn't feel like I had a choice. It was do this or this.
And let's not forget about what went down with Kellis either. She didn't hold back when she straight up accused Beyoncé of crossing the line, claiming Bey sampled her hit Milkshake without giving her any heads up, credit, or respect. Kellis said she was blindsided. She didn't even know about the sample until she saw fans tagging her all over social media. She said she was mind blown at the level of disrespect. In her own words, "I heard about this the same way everyone else did." She called it what it was: fake love and shady moves. Kellis hopped on Instagram and explained exactly why she was so upset. She said, "Not only are we black women in this industry, which is already rare, but we've met each other, we've spoken, we've got mutual friends." She made it clear. It's not that hard to reach out. It's just basic respect. And instead of owning it or apologizing, Beyoncé just removed the sample quietly and acted like nothing ever happened. No statement, no accountability, just a silent delete and moving on like it didn't matter. Now fast forward to singer Mia, another talented artist whose name rarely comes up these days. And there's a reason for that too. Rumor is she got blackballed after turning down some powerful people behind the scenes, allegedly Jay-Z being one of them. Mia once spoke about how folks in power often misuse it in dangerous ways, especially around young women who are hungry to make it big in the industry. She said a lot of these new artists don't even realize what they're giving up until it's too late. When asked how she kept her peace, Mia said she simply said no and walked away. But even that came with a price. She hinted that turning certain people down cost her a lot. People dragged her name, shut her out, and made sure she disappeared from the spotlight.
You say so guarded within your career.
This is what I did. I said, no, I'm good, thank you. No, thank you. Okay, so sometimes that doesn't translate as far as what you are allowed to have, what you have access to. You will be blackballed. You will be talked about, you will be on, you will be rumored about. But you have to stand strong on what you don't care for. It's not that serious to me, if I have to sell my soul. I understand that I might have sacrificed something in the physical world, but the spiritual world is not worth it. You're okay. You don't need to do anything. What you need to do is protect every part of your life. Your spirit especially, because everything else is connected to that. There are some people not everyone, that have huge egos, you know, and awful mindsets towards men, towards women, towards people. And it's very difficult to be around. It's just very difficult. And the way they define success is not your idea of success.
So it's clear, there's a long trail of artists who feel like Jay-Z and Beyoncé may have been the reason their shine got dimmed. And let's be real, this isn't even the full list. There's probably way more names we haven't even heard yet. But now it's your turn. What do you think about all these wild claims from people like 50 Cent, Eminem, Jaguar Wright, and Kellis? Do you believe there's some truth behind the smoke? Or is this all just jealousy and industry gossip? And are there any artists we missed who you think also got blackballed by the Carters? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more heat. Catch you in the next one, my stars and hushers.